Our mission is to provide a welcoming and intimate theater experience for our ensemble and our audience members. Penfield Players was formed back in 1965 by a group of people locally who felt strongly about having a community theater. Back in 1965, there weren't as many outlets for non-professionals in the Rochester area, so we were one of the first.
When you became a member of the Penfield Players in 1965, single membership was only $2, and if you were a married couple, your membership was $3. We had an initial membership that was active within the first 3 months of about 75 members. The first show was Janice, and it was a romantic comedy written by Carolyn Green.
There are people who have been involved with the group for as long as we've been around.
I joined Penfield Players in 1965. It's almost the beginning. I've worked backstage, I've worked on costumes. Costumes was my love. And just a little bit of everything. It's always been very interesting. Made a lot of very wonderful friends. I'm most proud of being part of Penfield Players because they do such excellent performances and they really have something to add to the town of Penfield. We did the sing-alongs at intermission in the plays, and it just seemed to be the thing to do. I liked showing off. It was a good way to show off. Music has always been one of my loves, and it was a matter of getting up on stage and getting people to sing. We handed out the song sheets, standard old-time songs, as well as usually a couple of new ones, and just get people involved. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy. When skies are gray, you'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
The group got together with the Town of Penfield Recreation Department about a year and a half after they started. And the Town Recreation Department has been a sponsor of ours ever since and has been invaluable in so many different ways.
I think one of the things that Penfield is really noted for is our partnerships, and I just want to underscore that. And that holds true with the Penfield Players as well. This is a relationship that we've had for many, many years. No one entity can do it by themselves. It really takes a group to kind of make that happen, and we're so delighted that the Penfield Players and the town of Penfield work so closely together. And I think one of the things that we've seen over the years is such a great relationship on both sides, both from the town standpoint and from the players. Obviously, the people involved have changed, both on the players' part and on the town part, but one consistent thread is that we've had great communications and a great relationship, and we've done a lot together, hopefully to support one another. The interesting part is that when you have a group like the Players, they are the community in so many ways. And as I take a look at the Players today, you've got some folks just starting out, just getting involved, really want to be involved in that. And then you have some that are seasoned, that have been there for a long time. And I think that really reflects the community overall, because for a successful community, you've got to have all parties, all ages involved.
I joined in 1974. When I initially joined the group, I, quote, held book backstage. And then it must have been either Ann or another good friend, Vivian Struck, who asked if I would help with set. with a set. And I found that I enjoyed that tremendously. Back then, Flanagan's Furniture Store allowed us to come into their store, pick out furniture, any decor, any pieces of furniture, they would deliver it for us, no charge. That was pretty special. Through the years, Ann and I have been doing sets up until the time I decided to retire, which was about 10 years ago.
When I joined, we used to meet once a month at the Lincoln Bank across from the fire hall. And the first play I did was in the end of the 66-67 season. The very next spring, I think, some of our members were down south and they saw dinner theater. So they said, gee, let's put on a dinner theater. So we did. We went to the Hospitality House on Penfield Road. We had one room that was set up with the stage, and it was a portable stage. It was designed to be 12 by 24 feet, 3 feet high. And then every inch of chair space was taken up for people to sit. We had never done this before, so we oversold. We literally had to call up people and tell them they couldn't come.
What's interesting in those days was having a place to have the theater. So we wound up having some at the high school, very few. Then there was a place called the Hospitality House. And come the time for Melodrama in the spring, around May, we used to do that at the Genesee Conservation League. And at one point, we then had to use the VFW post on 31F. And there was another Ukrainian club up in Webster that we did a production. So, you know, part of what we had to do, because we really didn't have a home, is to find people who were willing to have us.
Some of the places that the Penfield Players have rehearsed over our 50 years have included our original Town of Penfield Town Hall, some of the school buildings. Rehearsals have also been at the Penfield Community Center or the basement of one of the community churches.
I was the one that brought the Melodrama to the theater group. I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming on vacation with my family, and we happened to be fortunate enough to be there during their annual Frontier Days, and we saw a Melodrama. And the kids and my husband and I just enjoyed it tremendously. We booed and clapped, and it was just so much, through popcorn, it was so much fun. So I brought that back and suggested to the Penfield Players that we try a Melodrama. And we did, and it just was a hit. We had people coming back year after year after year for the Melodrama.
Certainly the Melodramas has been a big part of a group of us that get together. We've kind of made that an annual event to come and watch the Melodramas. And it's just an opportunity to really sit back, enjoy the evening, have a lot of laughs, you know, see some great performances.
Deadwood Dick, Calamity Jane roll, that was my favorite. I loved that. It was fun. I had a feeling of foreboding a lot. You know, I got a feeling of foreboding. With that look.
In some of the old movies of Melodramas, there was always something like a saw or a train or whatever. So it would have been Bob Marsh and Dave Baxter and I. We came to my house and we built a platform and we built a big saw. Now the platform moved, the saw rolled, so that on stage it looked like, oh my goodness, is she gonna get cut? And then the train scene was, the set went dark. There was the indication of tracks, and they figured out how to make a light look like it's the headlamp on a train, and of course then the sound effects, so that light kept coming closer and closer to the audience. So, you know, that takes creativity. But then it's like, okay, this is what you want. Now how are we going to make it? And that was the, you know, pulling it off.
There are things that go on in rehearsal and on stage sometimes that make memories, that just happen out of the blue, that you hold on to forever.
I remember a young man who was in one of our melodramas, who probably was his first time on stage, got out on stage, and he was our hero, as a matter of fact, and totally froze. Stood there and froze. And the director came out on stage, grabbed him by the shirt, pulled him backstage, and I think probably went, "Get out there and do it." And threw him back on stage, and he was great.
We did a production of The Foreigner, and there was we had the very bad guy, but his assistant, so to speak, was a man named Owen Musher, and Owen was a good old boy, and he wasn't packing a full deck, and he liked to blow things up real good with dynamite and all, and it was a riot to play that part. And I actually got to reprise the role for a different group several years later and played the same part because I had such a great time doing it.
A few of us are standing backstage, and the second act is opening. The curtains open, we hear that happening, and then we hear this giant clatter and bang, and something breaks, and we don't know what it is. It turned out it was the teapot that was sitting on the coffee table. And so then backstage we're all thinking, what do we do? How do we clean this up? What's gonna happen? Are the actors on stage gonna be able to handle this? Did anybody get hurt? We don't know what happened. So Kathy Doremus, our wonderful stage manager, just went into business mode. And she decided that I, playing the maid, should grab a broom and a dustpan and go out on stage. And she figured out when I should go out on stage following another actor. And she worked it out so that I could go on stage and clean it up, and it kind of just worked seamlessly as if we had planned it.
What we call joke night was more or less to blend the techies with the actors. That's how it started. Our director set it up. Where if you're on stage and you expect a prop to be there and it's not there and it's crucial, how do you react to that? So get to depend upon yourself. Check that prop before you go on. Check the techie, and the techie gets involved too, like I should put that prop there. And it was good. It was good training.
We had a lot of dedicated members in the first 40 years of our organization's history. And the last 10 years has been a resurgence of mostly a younger membership who has a newfound love of theater, and that ability to be involved is so energizing.
We first met at a Penfield holiday party, is where we met. And it was, right? It was a holiday
Christmas,
party.
yeah.
It was Christmas holiday party at someone's house. And we went on a date, and it was interesting. It was fun. It didn't quite work, we'll put it that way. He called and I was busy washing my hair. So a year later, however, we were cast in Don't Drink the Water together. So.
And, I just worked my magic.
I was continually threatened, do not break up with him before the show is over because he's the lead. But yes, he worked his magic, so.
Penfield in some ways is the embodiment of community theater. I mean, they are, it's right in the name. This is Penfield's theater group, and and everybody's volunteer and everybody does everything, and then there's a sense of, there's life in between the shows, right? Parties, activities. I know we've marched in the 4th of July parade a number of times now, and we were involved in the celebration for Penfield's anniversary, and yeah, I mean, I think in many ways it's the embodiment of what community theater is all about.
We've even had the opportunity, as our daughters became old enough, to start to bring them and some of their friends and to get them involved in an early age. And our daughter has been involved with the Penfield Players and has participated in a couple of different performances over the last few years.
My parents brought me to the Melodramas for as long as I can remember, when it was at the Genesee Conservation League on that tiny little riser stage. And I thought the people on the stage were movie stars, and I wanted to be just like them. So it was just a magical experience. The smell of the popcorn and the booing and the hissing and the clapping I just loved it so much. So I think that's probably what sparked my interest in theater from a really young age. Even at a young age, I was only 22 when I started. They never treated you like you were 22. They just treated you like part of the group, and you were welcomed, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful welcoming experience, and that's probably the best part about it. Probably one of my favorite memories with being involved with the Penfield Players was having my dad be invited up onto stage, and he had no idea what was going on, and he ended up getting squirted with water. It was so fun to get him involved on stage too. I've done 2 shows when I've been pregnant with each of my daughters, so they love the theater as well, and they've been involved, and I hope that they're going to continue to be involved in it as they grow up.
It's amazing the kind of people that we have that people don't know about. I mean, everyone that comes to our shows sees the people that are up on stage, and that talent is wonderful. But we have a lot of people who are working behind the scenes as well that don't get the kind of recognition that they deserve. It's important that they're there, and it's so wonderful that we have that kind of people that want to volunteer for that.
We used to perform at like the gun club. I mean, that's where we were performing our piece that we were in together there. To where we are in Penfield Rec Center, people don't see the truck full of supplies that we'd bring and build something out of nothing. I mean, my degree is in theater, but many of our Penfield players might not have that degree,
Right.
but they have other talents in other ways. So I think of the sergeants, Tom and Marilyn Sargent. Anytime I would need some odd prop made, they'd be like, oh, all you have to do is be like a MacGyver of props type of thing. Or Marilyn and I, who one night we were painting wood with this little, I don't know, we were painting hardwood so it looked like hardwood on a set, and she's like, oh, I just thought of this. It was just kind of the ideas that just came and the creativity that came out of the individuals.
Well, my role in the Penfield Players would have been set design, set construction, and of course then a lot of times as the art teacher, the painting. It gives the actors the feeling that behind them is something worth playing against. And so I think, in a way, they do a better job.
I'd say that Penfield Players really caught my attention when I went to the first set build for Buring yesterday. Usually set builds and set strike, it's something that people try to get out of because it's a lot of manual labor and a lot of grunt work and kind of long and boring sometimes depending on who you're working with. But for Penfield Players, a lot of people showed up who weren't even involved in the show. I mean, they had been involved in other productions and they showed up on their Saturday or Sunday afternoon just to lend a hand and help out and carry things, and that was really special. The community atmosphere of community theater I really like because it's people that you know telling these stories and you can talk to them about it before, afterwards.
My background until I moved to Rochester had been entirely in sort of academic theater, high school, college, graduate school, and in those situations, all the parts are played by 18, 19, 20-year-old people. So if you're 60, if you're 20, it doesn't matter. So then when you do a show in the community, oh, this part for a 60-year-old will be played by a 60-year-old.
Exactly.
You know, and that's a different experience. You know, everybody is actually so you get to have this cool experience. You get to meet all these different people and different experiences.
Rochester's theater scene is very active. I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and you would think that a city as big as that, you know, would have a big theater scene, and I didn't see it there. Maybe it was there and I missed it, but here in Rochester, it's everywhere.
You know, working with the Penfield Players, you know, the experience is generally one of, it's almost like a family atmosphere. It's very nurturing, supportive, and I like that as well. You know, so some of the groups that are a little more professional, you really need to know what you're doing when you're walking in there. And this is a good community theater.
Back a few years ago, the Players were in peril, honestly.
We had a resource issue, a talent issue. We were doing 3 shows a season. The manpower to put on 3 full-scale productions was burning out.
The Players have been my home for the last 9 years. When I had the chance to become president, I jumped at it because I wanted to get people excited again. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a chore to be part of the Players anymore. I feel good that we've been able to do that. This season marks our 50th anniversary, which is a huge milestone for us. There are very few groups in the area that have made it this far, and we're excited about it. Anybody can get involved with the Players. It's no matter what, if they've been on stage before or whether they just want to be on stage or want to work backstage. That we're always looking for volunteers in any number of capacities. All they have to do is go to our webpage, and there's a volunteer link, and just let us know if they're interested and what they might be interested in, and we'll get in touch with them.
Friendship, commitment, community. You know, we built friendship because we believed in each other. And when you think about community players, they have to give a lot of personal time, and that's commitment. And the community, it's 2 ways. The community of the theater and the community of the people we perform. That was why for 50 years now that Penfield Players have been together.
It was when I joined the group, I joined a family. It was really, I just couldn't believe how much they just accepted me, somebody that they didn't know if I had any ability to act. And it's been a long, long time friendship with so many of the people, really.
The people who stick around and stay are a special breed. They have loyalty and enthusiasm. I could have gone to other groups, but I didn't. I could only put my eggs in one basket because I had children and a home, husband. I had to choose, and I chose. And the people we met in the beginning and the people we've met along the way are still our best friends. So it's family.
On behalf of the entire community of Penfield and our surrounding communities, because the Penfield Players touch so many people, we'd like to congratulate you on 50 years. That's something that doesn't happen by accident. That happens by design, and that happens by a lot of people giving a lot of themselves. So we want to say thank you, congratulations, and we look forward to the next 50 years.
I think it'll go on and on. Right now we have some very dedicated people who are holding the group together. And I don't see any reason for it not going on. I'm not sure I'll be around for the 75th, but I hope they have one.
Happy anniversary, Penfield Players. I wish you 50 more years, and I want to thank you for bringing this man into my life.
Yeah, I owe you one, Penfield. Sure, sure. No, seriously though, thank you so much for everything that you do for Penfield, for the city of Rochester, and the surrounding communities, and what you've done for us. We love everything about the Players, and are so proud to be associated with them.
Happy anniversary, Penfield Players.
Mwah.
There you go.
I thought you were supposed to know this by heart.
This is the soft shoe part?
I didn't know we were supposed to be off book today. I'm sorry.
I think melodramas are important because they let the audience express their frustration with the characters, their joy. And I think it's important to have a snack while you're watching a melodrama.
So, what I'd like to do is I'd like to say happy anniversary to the Penfield Players, because I know you're a very successful group, you know what I'm saying?
I have had to do some accents. They always end up being silly Western accents.
The Penfield Players has been around for 50 years, and that's a very exciting thing.
Howdy. I can't. I can't think of anything to say.
Well, this is edited, right?
Oh, yeah. You're doing fabulous, but yeah.
Pass. Happy anniversary, and may they be a long way toward going to another 50 years. Thank you, and good night.